Hollywood did not need its stars healthy. It only needed them thin. Laird Krieger lost 100 pounds for leading man roles and died before his final film opened. Delta Burke went 5 days without food and was still told her body was too large. And MGM kept teenage Judy Garland working on soup, cigarettes, stimulants, and sleeping pills. 1. Laird Krieger. At 6 feet 3 and nearly 300 pounds, the 31-year-old Fox actor was trapped in villain roles and wanted romantic leads. While making The Lodger and Hangover Square, he followed severe crash diets and took prescribed amphetamines, losing about 100 pounds. The rapid weight loss was followed by serious abdominal complications, and in December 1944, he underwent surgery. Days later, he suffered a heart attack. Doctors placed him in an oxygen tent, and he briefly rallied before dying on December 9 with his mother beside him. Hangover Square, intended to showcase his slimmer appearance and move him beyond villain roles, opened 2 months after his death. 2. Susan Dey. At 17, the inexperienced model entered the Partridge Family and developed anorexia under the pressure of sudden television fame. Her weight fell to 92 pounds, her menstrual period stopped, and she ate so many carrots that her fingers turned orange. The series continued presenting her as a healthy teenage idol even as she became visibly thinner. Co-star Danny Bonaduce said the severity finally struck him when he saw her in a bikini and told her she looked sick. During the show's second season in 1971, she wrote a teen magazine article titled How I Licked My Weight Problem. It did not disclose anorexia. It presented the weight loss to young readers as a success. 3. Barbara Lamar. Her starring contract contained a weight clause that could stop her from working if the scale rose too far. When the studio found her 18 pounds over the limit, she began a hazardous reducing regimen. After her death, her publicist said it included a pill containing a tapeworm. She kept driving her weight down while continuing to work through serious illness. By 1925, she had active pulmonary tuberculosis. She collapsed into a coma while filming The Girl from Montmartre, then developed nephritis as her kidneys became inflamed. By late December, she weighed under 80 pounds. She died on January 30, 1926, aged 29, from tuberculosis and nephritis. 4. Patty Duke. During a severe untreated bipolar episode in the mid-1960s, the young television star nearly stopped eating. Her weight fell to 76 pounds. At the same time, she drank heavily and took Valium, creating a dangerous combination of starvation, alcohol, and tranquilizers. She estimated that she overdosed on Valium 8 times and described each episode as a call for help. Her husband, Harry Falk, twice persuaded her to enter a psychiatric hospital, but both stays ended quickly. Their marriage ended in 1967, and another hospitalization followed in 1969. Not until 1982 did a psychiatrist diagnose manic depression and prescribe lithium, the treatment she said finally stabilized her life. 5. Delta Burke. At acting school in London, a doctor first gave the future television star prescription pills for weight loss. Music. While working on Filthy Rich in 1982 and 1983, she obtained amphetamine tablets called Black Beauties and took them each morning to avoid eating. When tolerance made them ineffective, someone working on the show suggested crystal methamphetamine. She refused to snort it, stirred it into cranberry juice, and then went 5 days without food. Even 5 days without food did not satisfy the industry's demands. She was still told that her buttocks and legs were too large. The scrutiny followed her into designing women, and her option was not renewed after the 5th season in 1991. 6. Jane Fonda. Before her film career was established, the pressure to stay thin had already become a daily routine. She alternated between starvation and bulimia for almost 30 years. On some days, she ate only an apple core or one hard-boiled egg. On others, she binged and purged as many as 8 times. In college, Dexedrine kept her awake and suppressed her appetite. The disorder continued through 2 marriages, 2 children, and more than 20 films. In her 40s, recovery after each episode began taking days. She stopped purging without a support group, then replaced it with compulsive exercise. Those early workouts became the foundation of her fitness business. 7. Mario Lanza. Years of overeating and crash diets had already left the 38-year-old tenor with high blood pressure, phlebitis, and heart trouble. On September 25, 1959, he entered Rome's Via Giulia clinic to lose weight for another film. Its twilight sleep treatment kept patients sedated and immobile for prolonged periods while food was restricted, a dangerous arrangement for someone with inflamed veins and a history of clots. 12 days after admission, he died inside the clinic on October 7, one day before his planned discharge. The immediate cause was recorded as a pulmonary embolism. No autopsy was performed, leaving no final examination of the treatment's role. 8. Simone Silva. 3 years after a topless skin photograph wrecked her reputation, the 29-year-old actress began an intensive crash diet to revive her career. The 1954 scandal had already forced her off the Quezette. An American work permit was refused, sending her back to England for minor film and television jobs. In late 1957, she tried to reshape the voluptuous figure that had made the photographs notorious. On November 30, she was found dead in her London apartment. The post-mortem recorded a stroke. Friends blamed the prolonged dieting, while others close to her suspected suicide. The official finding never changed. Stroke, and she was 29. 9. Olivia Hussey. At 15, the future Juliet was sent to a doctor before filming Romeo and Juliet and prescribed diet pills. The pills made her ill. By the shoot, she weighed 100 pounds and was forbidden to gain any weight. Director Franco Zeffirelli also mocked her chest with a degrading nickname and shouted it through a megaphone whenever he wanted her on set. The body scrutiny continued after the film. She developed bulimia and kept returning to diet pills. By the late 1970s, the addiction had spiraled while she was also drinking heavily and hiding inside her home. A childhood friend moved in to get her to work and keep her alive. 10. Hayley Mills. Disney's teenage star became terrified that growing into an adult body would end the career built around her childhood. To remain small, she began making herself vomit after every meal and developed bulimia. Disney's publicity machine turned the visible weight loss into praise. In 1964, gossip columnist Hedda Hopper announced that the 18-year-old was 7 pounds thinner and weighed 112 pounds. The accompanying headline turned the result into praise. Hayley Mills, 18, thinner and looking like the millions stashed away for her. Mills told Hopper she was trying to shrink her stomach to peanut size. Music. Her Disney contract expired 2 years later when she turned 20. 11. Tommy Kirk. The former Disney favorite spent the mid-1960s mixing speed, uppers, alcohol, and diet pills until he was extremely thin and constantly high. During one of the Merlin Jones films, he arrived still impaired from the previous night. While holding his breath for a scene, he blacked out and collapsed. In 1966, he nearly died from 2 overdoses. A year later, he fell asleep at the wheel, drifted diagonally across the Ventura Freeway, and narrowly missed an approaching truck. The damage reached his career after police found prescribed barbiturates in his car on Christmas Eve 1964. The charge was dismissed, but 3 announced films replaced him with other actors. 12. Marietta Milner. In June 1929, news reached Hollywood that the Austrian silent film actress had died at 34 after trying to meet a contractual weight limit. Photoplay reported that friends had watched her starve herself to fall below the weight required for work. The magazine linked the extreme dieting to the tuberculosis that followed. Milner died from the disease on June 26. The warning appeared in Photoplay's October issue. Paramount executives responded that her studio contract had already expired and that they knew nothing about any newer film agreement. Their denial appeared beside the report of her death. 13. Clark Gable. Between films, the aging leading man gained weight then stripped it off with crash diets and Dexedrine despite severe tremors in his hands and head. Before the Misfits, his weight had climbed to about 235 pounds. He reduced it to roughly 190, briefly stopped drinking and smoking, and passed the production physical. The Nevada shoot then added desert heat and strenuous stunt work. By the final studio days, he was too ill to attend the wrap party. 2 days after filming ended, he suffered a major heart attack. On his 10th hospital day, he was sitting up, placed his head back on the pillow, and died, music, at 59. 14. Miriam Carlin. In 1956, a stage production gave the 31-year-old actress 4 weeks to lose 2 stone, nearly 28 pounds, so she could fit a costume. A doctor popular with actors gave her a diet sheet, diuretics, and speed. She lost the weight but could not stop. For 48 years, she lived with anorexia and bulimia, repeatedly used appetite suppressants, and became dependent on laxatives. At her worst, she swallowed 10 Senecot tablets each night. A specialist told her that her bowels would never function independently again, leaving her dependent on medically approved laxatives for life. 15. Sandra Dee. A remark that she had eaten too many pancakes triggered the 9-year-old child model's lifelong obsession with thinness. By 11, fan magazines were already publicizing her 6 shrimp-a-day diet. She ate the food she wanted, then made herself vomit. When Hollywood signed her, the 5'5" teenager weighed 90 pounds. One publicized lunch consisted of a hard-boiled egg, half a head of lettuce, and a teaspoon of vinegar. Amphetamines and alcohol followed. After her 1967 divorce, she drank heavily, eventually reaching a quart of scotch a day as her weight fell to 80 pounds. She died in 2005 after 2 weeks in hospital for kidney disease and pneumonia. 16. Diane Keaton. Clears throat. In 1968, the 22-year-old performer was offered a larger role in Hair on the condition that she lose weight. The demand triggered 3 years of bulimia. A single binge could include fried chicken, several orders of fries, frozen dinners, candy, pound cake, and 3 banana cream pies. She consumed and purged roughly 20,000 calories a day while hiding the disorder even from Woody Allen. Her periods became irregular, her blood pressure dropped, and stomach acid produced constant heartburn. Daily psychoanalysis continued for 18 months before she began eating normally at 25. By then, dentists had found 26 cavities in her teeth. 17. Zero Mostel. Asked to slim down for The Merchant, the 62-year-old Broadway star began a mostly liquid diet at 304 pounds. In roughly 4 months, he lost about 86 pounds. During the Philadelphia tryout in September 1977, playwright Arnold Weskier thought he looked ill and heard him mumbling. After a performance, he collapsed and was taken to Thomas Jefferson University Hospital. Doctors first expected him to recover from what they considered a respiratory problem. Several days later, he became dizzy, lost consciousness, and could not be revived. Weskier believed the rapid diet and rehearsal pressure had damaged his heart. Mostel died on September 8 before the play reached Broadway. 18. Carmen Miranda. An exhausting Hollywood schedule led doctors to prescribe stimulants, sedatives, and sleeping pills. She also used stimulants to control her music weight. Her biographer said the mixture brought her close to death in 1943 and that she never fully recovered. Pill dependence, alcohol, smoking, bronchitis, and repeated physical collapses followed. On August 4, 1955, she worked unusually late taping a television comedy with Jimmy Durante, then sang and danced again for the crew, and continued entertaining guests at home. At about 3 a.m., she went upstairs. Her husband found her in the hallway the next morning. Her physician recorded a fatal heart attack. She was 46. 19. Alan King. Her contract reduced a Broadway performer's body to exact numbers: 115 pounds, a 26 in waist, 34 in hips, and no measurement allowed to vary by more than half an inch. In 1927, she combined diet pills with near starvation to preserve the fashionable boyish figure.